This is the first official edition of Inside Indiana Softball. Will Chukerman, the voice of the Indiana softball team, with head coach Michelle Gardner. Unbelievable, just 3 days away from the season opener.
Well, I can't believe it's here.
Yeah.
It seems like it took a long time, yet it hasn't. So very excited and ready to go.
And you being in your 7th season, is opening day just as exciting now as it was in your first season as head coach?
Absolutely, because opening day is opening day,
Yeah.
and I think it's like that across the country. But for us, we've been fortunate to be able to get outside a little bit going into this tournament, and I'm really excited about all the things to come.
And so we're going to preview the team's trip to Tempe, Arizona this weekend, and then also just go into some preseason type questions as the team goes on throughout. And looking at the series in Arizona, this is another time that you guys play a good couple of opponents. Oregon State's coming off a little bit of a down year, but they're sure to pick it back up this season. Arizona State as well. What do you like about the matchups going into this weekend?
Well, I like we open up with Western Michigan. And the thing I like about that is they've been inside as much as we have. So, kind of out of the gates, it's a good beginning. And then we have Oregon State that night. And looking at all the teams that we play, everyone's very competitive, and it's everyone's first weekend.
Yeah.
That's the thing I like about facing Oregon State, ASU, teams there, it's all their first competition weekends also.
What's the most difficult part of that first weekend? Is it just the travel and getting everyone organized? Is it on the field play, kind of getting everyone used to playing different opponents? Is there anything that's really difficult, or are people just so excited to go out there and play?
I think it's a combination of all the above. First of all, everyone's very excited to be there, but it is traveling, and we haven't traveled in a long time. So, I think it's a very grueling weekend with the motions running very high, and so it's being able to keep everything in check and go to the perspective of it's one team at a time, and we've practiced against each other for 4 weeks now, so I think we're ready to see another opponent, and then it's just really maintaining and keeping everybody healthy and on the same page.
And I mentioned the travel. It's 4 straight weekends from Tempe, Arizona, Henderson, Nevada, Palm Springs, California, Orlando, Florida. Is there something you want your team to get out of that? Because, of course, they spend a lot of time off the field, but this is kind of a different animal, going on planes with each other, staying in hotels, keeping people accountable.
Absolutely. I think, when you look at our schedule, obviously for northern schools, it is traveling, because obviously we can't be playing outside right now. And so I think in preparation for that, obviously there comes a lot of just, I think, mental toughness and things that get built along the way. And so honestly, I think at this point we just have to look at one weekend at a time and working our teams. Obviously the bottom line is we're trying to get to the Big Ten championship and win Big Tens and go to postseason. So everything we do right now is important, and I think that's the piece of the puzzle that they need to understand is we can't take any game lightly. And on Sunday of this weekend, it's going to be Sunday. To me is the toughest day because we have 4 games in 2 days and then go into Sunday. So it's kind of all your conditioning and building up for this is what's going to sustain us through a weekend. And this first opening weekend is a challenge right off the bat to then, come home late Sunday night and turn around and leave again on Thursday.
Exactly.
But we've been doing it for years and years and years. And
it's not going to change.
It isn't going to change, so, let's go with it.
Exactly. So now let's get talking about the team in general coming into the preseason. Last year, record-wise, disappointing, but you've got a lot of great girls coming back, a really great freshman class. And let's start off with those freshmen. There's 8 of them. A lot of them are going to get playing time right off the bat. What do you tell the freshmen about adjusting to Division I softball and kind of maybe some of the difficulties that are going to happen?
Well, at this point, it's wanting them to stay within themselves and not try to be bigger than what they are. Because that's, to me, the thing that freshmen get caught up in is sometimes they're trying to do so much and be big. And the truth of the matter is, with the extent of our season and the length of it and those things, it really has to be one challenge at a time. And so I think focusing on that and just the simple fact that they were recruited to play softball for a reason, and knowing that they're good enough to be at this level. Because I think sometimes that's the question mark that sometimes comes up with freshmen. But the truth of the matter is they're very competitive. They work a ton, and I love the cohesion of the team right now, and a lot of that starts with the freshmen because they're really a tight-knit group, and they're all working towards the same thing, which then our upperclassmen are all bought into that, and so they're just filling in, and it's really great to see.
From the looks of it in practice, you see Rebecca Blitz, Rachel O'Malley, Taylor Uden getting first-team reps right now, and it doesn't look like they're underclassmen. They're hitting the ball all fields, fielding it well, so it's got to be nice to see out in practice so far.
Oh, absolutely. But, they're going to have first-game jitters like everybody, but the good news is once we get onto the field, they're not really... It's not freshman, soft. I mean, it's just a team.
Just got the Indiana on the chest.
Absolutely, and that I think is the biggest part of the puzzle is that they all stay bought into that, and I think this group will do that.
Just kind of going down assembly line now, looking at the sophomores, three of them, Erin Lehman, Karamia Chirigos, and Kayla Matthewson. It was a little bit difficult for them in Erin and Karamia's standpoint that they dealt with injuries last year. And Kayla was injured.
Kayla dealt with a lot of injuries also.
So what is it for them to kind of now transition? It's almost not a freshman year, but they get a full off season to recover from those separate injuries, and now it looks like they're stronger than ever.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, off season, a couple surgeries, rehab, getting in shape, and those three have worked really hard to move to the next level. And I think understanding what it is, because that your freshman year is learning what's going to happen, and the going week to week. And I think those guys really understand what it is now, and have come back healthier and ready to go.
Looking at them, the juniors, Cassie Farmer, Michelle Huber, are two girls that headline the class. Cassie's coming off a great season, and Michelle, from the work we've seen in practice, is hitting incredibly well.
Yes.
And it's now time for them, again, just like every class, to take another step up.
Them, Kelsey Dotson.
Kelsey,
I mean, you look at that class, and there's a lot of leadership from that class, statistically speaking, but, they just bring a whole different aspect to the game. And so I think it's just a matter of everybody, like I said, still working together and being on the same page. Caitlin Canetta has worked extremely hard in the off season and is pushing for a position, and to me that's what it is. Everyone's competing for positions, and even though the lineup is starting to shake out a little bit, everybody's kind of figured out, I think, what their role is and embracing their role, whatever they can do to help make us better.
Aside from a few spots on the field, it looks like girls are really competing for those other ones out on the diamond, and that's got to be a great problem to have as a coach if they've bought in one and then want to put in the work two to be a starter if right now they're second on the depth chart.
Well, and that to me is the bottom line. I mean, you're only as strong as your weakest player, and the players that aren't starters, they need to be pushing the starters to be better, because in my opinion, no one's job is set in stone right now. Everybody's competing week in and week out, because we have so many interchangeable parts that in the past I haven't had quite the depth that we have right now. It's great. It's a great problem to have.
Of course it is. You can never have too much talent on a team.
No.
And now looking at the senior class, and of course, whenever you have a senior class, you hold them near and dear to your heart. Laura Olson, Miranda Tamayo, Bri Meyer, and Shannon Colley. Shannon's the big piece to this puzzle coming back, as well as Miranda, too. This is her first year back in the circle. For those two, it's kind of weird, though, that the two seniors haven't played in about a year. Is that strange for you as a coach?
Well, it is. Obviously, Shanny's injury was, I thought, brutal last year, because it took one of our leading RBI hitters out of that lineup. And that could have definitely made a difference in the record that we had last year. And Miranda's back and throwing extremely well right now. I'm excited to see what she's going to do. And Laura has been pretty steady, and she's up for the challenge. She wants to win. And Bri Mai she's dealt with a lot of injuries too, but she's very healthy right now. And so I'm just excited about the whole lineup.
Yeah, it seems like when you have a girl like Shannon reinserted into the lineup, she's been an all Big Ten player before, and to have that last season wiped out, for you had to be crushing, for her had to be crushing,
absolutely,
as well for the team, because just the way you construct a lineup, it was difficult last year, not having necessarily a true 3-hitter.
Well, and the other thing that Shannon brings to the table is she understands the game. And she's not only a leader, but she's like a coach out on the field. Like, she truly gets all aspects of it and just super competitive. So, you take that out, and while she was in the dugout and, trying to help her team, it's still just a different aspect from being on the field. But she learned a lot about the game also, which is tremendous for us to, have her back in the lineup.
Yeah, something we discussed a little bit last year. The fact that she got to watch from afar might have done her some good, in just the standpoint that she got to watch the team kind of have it slow down, maybe like it did for Bree, and then going into her senior year, and we saw what happened. We can only hope it's a seamless
We can
transition.
only hope, but I believe that will happen. And Shan's worked extremely hard, and for her, it's like all of them, it's staying healthy, and some of them have to work through some bumps and bruises.
Yeah.
That's the way the game goes at this point. But I just think the leadership that she brings is, that's hard to replace.
Yeah.
So,
Coach, any final thoughts before we close up shop on this episode?
just ready to go play.
Good luck this season, Coach.
Thanks, Bob.
This was the first official episode of This Week Inside Indiana Softball. Stay tuned every Tuesday or middle of the week for future episodes. Thanks a lot for watching.